G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a bit longer because I have so much to cover. I want to start off talking about last night's update, which was honestly one of the best updates we ever could have asked for. We've seen Primal shotguns being nerfed, makeshift weapons being buffed, some huge changes to the way crafting works that is going to make the game so much more enjoyable. We also have a tournament being announced by Epic Games that you can play in to win V-Bucks. I want to cover when that is, how you can play, and everything we know about it. I also want to give a bit of a rundown for how the Chipotle Cup is going to run today. I actually made a drop spot map to talk about some of the biggest teams, who they're playing with, where are they dropping, how the tournament's actually going to work. I also need to cover why Clicks isn't going to be playing, because there was a fair bit of drama surrounding this, as well as what ended up happening with the Bugha Cup that happened yesterday, because that was an interesting tournament. All right, let's jump into it. All right, let's break down this new update because it looks so exciting. I mean, you guys always meme and make jokes that Epic Games watches my videos or should watch my videos, and let me just break down what the balance changes are, and you let me know if this sounds familiar at all to any of my videos that I've talked about recently. So, looks like what we got was Primal shotgun fire rate reduced, makeshift shotgun adjustments. So makeshift shotgun probably should have 3 pellets, not 2. It should probably have a faster reload and maybe a bit more damage, but even just 3 shots would feel so much better to use. Crafting material costs now scale with makeshift rarity, but definitely there needs to be a change where lower rarity makeshifts take less parts to upgrade. So I'm imagining that a gray makeshift should take either 1 mechanical part or 1 bone to upgrade, green should take 2, and blue should take 3. Animal bones and mechanical parts can appear as added floor loot. And I think there should be more things around that actually drop the mechanical parts and the bones inside their houses. Like the toolboxes or like the skulls on the bridges near the like bony burbs and stuff. I feel like someone suggested all of those things. Either way, I'm not going to say it's because of me. I'm not going to pretend to take credit. If for some reason Epic Games is watching people in the community's video, if they're listening to the community, that's awesome. I'm not going to try and pretend I'm making changes at Epic Games. You guys always seem to make these jokes that I work for Epic Games. I do not. I just think they're listening to their community. A lot of other people suggested these changes as well. I just think it was funny that it was the main 4 changes that I was looking forward to. So you have to know, looking at that, this is looking like my God update. This is exactly what I wanted the game to be. Now, I'm going to come back to the Primal shotgun fire rate reduced because it's not that much. But let's start off with the positives. Let's go to makeshift shotgun adjustments. Now, this is huge. The makeshift shotgun, one of the most frustrating things about the season right now was how clunky this thing felt. It was a shotgun. It only had 2 bullets in the chamber. I was always suggesting it should have 3. It does now. And it had a slow reload time. It had a really slow pullout time. It just felt really clunky and terrible to use. Outside of the damage, the shotgun hit all right. If you hit a headshot, you hit for like 100, even with the gray rarity. It was fine, but it just felt really slow. No more. This is a clip with the new makeshift shotgun. It is so insanely strong. Not only does it have 3 bullets in the chamber, its pullout and shoot time feels way faster. Its reload time is way faster. The only thing I can't talk for is the actual damage ratios. I don't know if it does more damage or less damage. I was playing around with it for a little bit. I couldn't see any huge adjustments, but overall, it is now feeling like a way faster, way stronger weapon to use, and I'm so happy they made this change. All right, so the Primal shotgun fire rate reduced. This looked so promising. This is everything we want. The Primal shotgun right now, as you know, is just a little bit ridiculous. If you get inside someone's box, if you try to jump on them, they try to jump on you. If anything happens, if you walk anywhere near this gun and you don't have perfect piece control and perfect aim with your pump or your shotgun, you're gonna die. And one of the big issues is the fact that it's just doof, 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 doof. Like, it just shoots so fast. It's a joke. We thought it was gonna be reduced. I deliberately filmed a clip this morning before the update, just using the Primal shotgun, shooting at a wall, just holding down left click. I'm not firing, I'm not changing anything, so I could compare it to after the update. Let's take a look at the difference. It is noticeably no different at all. It takes me slowing it down to 0.25 times speed, so a quarter of the actual speed to notice any real difference at all. So this is not going to change how people use it and how insanely overpowered and annoying this gun is to verse, especially on spawn. I do think my biggest issue, I've always said this, while this gun is incredibly frustrating, I feel like if you get a pump, if you get a good weapon and you play well, mid-game you can beat people with this item. The biggest issue is finding it on spawn. So now that they've buffed buff the Makeshift on spawn, it won't feel as bad versing people with this, but I really was expecting a more substantial nerf than this. This is such a minutely tiny adjustment that I really can't see it having any lasting effect on the Primal. If you're hating on the Primal, if you hate using it, or you love using it, nothing's going to have changed. Now, the third option, and this one I was really excited for. So crafting material costs now scale with Makeshift rarity. This one had me really excited. I talked about this. I thought that if they reduced the crafting rates, if they made it that you could go from gray to green with 1, green to blue with 2, and then blue to purple with 3, it'd be way better where you could maybe find a gray Makeshift on spawn. You could quickly, you know, farm down a toolbox, get a mechanical part, and then you make a green pump. Epic kind of went with this, but also kind of nerfed it. So they made some big changes. So now, previously, if you didn't know, it took 4 parts to upgrade anything. If you wanted to go gray, green, blue, whatever it was, it took 4 bones or 4 mechanical parts. Now, from gray to green takes 2, from green to blue takes 4, which is the same, but then from blue to purple, it now takes 6. So depending on how you look at this, I kind of like this. It reduces the spawn RNG more. It just makes more sense that crafting a worse weapon shouldn't take more parts, which will be pretty good for, let's say, competitive teams that are going drop spots that don't have as many mechanical parts or as many bone parts. They can get a gray to green and not have to carry around a Makeshift. But unfortunately, making it take 6 to go from blue to purple is really going to buff those drop spots that have heaps of mechanical parts and make Arena a little bit more difficult. It depends on your stance. Do you think everyone should have a spaz if they spend the time? Or do you like the fact that not everyone's going to have a spaz and only certain players will? It depends on your stance. I don't know how I stand. I'm really happy with that gray to green change. So if you have a more shambles drop spot, or you want to get your loadout going a little bit faster, you don't have to use the Makeshift. But because they buffed the Makeshift so much and made it an actual viable weapon, I don't know why I would go from gray to green instead of just trying to find more parts to get an actual significant upgrade. But again, it's a change. I'll have to get your guys' thoughts on it. It's not exactly what I was expecting or asking for. It didn't really reduce the crafting in the game. It just shifted the weighting around a little bit more. As for the last one, that animal bones and mechanical parts are now floor loot, yeah, that is true. I haven't found too much of it. It's a decent change. You find it more often. It adds a bit of spawn RNG now. If you landed a chest and a couple of floor spawns, you're looking for a gun, you pull a bow out of the chest and then you turn and there's a mechanical part laying on the ground. It's a little bit frustrating, but overall, if it reduces that time spent farming, I do like the concept. I haven't played enough to really get my thoughts around how much and how often it happens, but it has been changed. Now, the last thing they didn't talk about in the actual patch notes that is a huge update is the change to performance mode. If you're playing on performance mode on high mesh now, the game looks really, really different. So compared to having the bubble builds, which a lot of people like and make the game run really smoothly, it just looks like regular DX11 or DX12 with just the textures quite down low. So it's interesting to see. Again, I'm going to have to play the game more to really sense whether there's a huge adjustment in FPS or actual performance value, or whether maybe it increases input delay or decreases input delay. It looks like Epic's trying to revert back to what they normally do with making the game look nicer rather than necessarily run better. But if meshes are on low, it still looks like you have the mobile builds. That hasn't changed, but I found it interesting they didn't talk about that in the patch notes, and it's quite a significant change. So if your performance mode looks different or feels different, that's why. On top of a few adjustments that we really want in this most recent update, it looks like we also got a Vbuck tournament, which I've been asking about for the longest time. It makes sense. You can then give a prize pool, make people play properly, but you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money on the prize money because it's guaranteed the money is just going to go straight back to Epic, and that's what we finally got. Now, just a heads up, the Fortnite performance evaluation, which is what the tournament's called, is only going to be available on NA East and EU, but it doesn't look like it's region locked. Now, they actually put out a tweet today saying that you'd be able to log in and you'd have access to it. They said players will see a performance evaluation tournament in the compete tab tomorrow for NA East and EU. This is a test tournament that we'll be using to evaluate server performance after each major update. Tomorrow's event will be open to players in divisions 8 to 10, and future evaluation events will be available to only division 10 players. Participating players can win V-Bucks. Now, I have logged in right now. The update has just gone live, and there's no tournament. So I don't really know exactly if maybe they didn't turn it on. Maybe it will be turned on soon as well, because they just said that tomorrow's event. So it should be on today by the time this video posts. So make sure you're checking, make sure you're paying attention so you don't miss it, because the prizes are looking pretty damn stacked for this one actually. So right now, if you're playing on EU, it looks like first place is going to get 3,000 V-Bucks, second 2,400, third 2,100, right down to 10th place getting 600. Remember, this is a trios event, so make sure you have 2 teammates available. Also, NA East is about the same. It actually is exactly the same. I'm very surprised to see that, because recently Fortnite has been doing EU gets a bigger prize pool than NA, but it looks like for this one, both of them are even. Now, as far as playing across multiple regions, it doesn't seem to say that you can't. I'd want to get full clarification on that just for yourself. If you haven't found clarification, if you couldn't see it, if no one's answered this question, maybe just play one region. But from what I can see, the rule about region locking is definitely missing. So you can play this from other regions. I don't know if you'll get locked to that region, or you can try and play both, but maybe don't risk it unless you get 100% all clear. Now remember, if this one, I don't know what's happening with this one that's supposed to be starting tomorrow or today, but this isn't the only one. These are going to run on regular intervals. The rules say they're going to run every other week, so I'm guessing every second week on a Tuesday. So I'm not really sure on Monday for you guys, so every second week on a Monday. But again, it's not in the game, it's not in Fortnite Tracker, so maybe just pay attention once it gets released. I was really hoping when I made this video that it would be in the game and I could give you the full details. As far as scoring format, the scoring format actually looks pretty damn good. They're going off heavy placement. It's pretty much just the old FNCS format. So Victory Royale's 25 points. You start getting placement points at 17th, but each elimination is worth 2. So I don't know why they made a tournament more elimination heavy when it's for V-Bucks. I have a feeling like it's going to be a bit of a key fest. As far as my advice on how to play it, yeah, you're going to want to play a bit more aggressive. Eliminations being worth 2 in a trios event and a win being worth 25. Good trios should be able to walk through the lobby. They're going to put up a lot of points, especially when to get the V-Bucks, the prize pool is only top 10. You've really got to place quite highly in these regions. So this isn't like a free V-Buck tournament for everyone, which I would have really liked. I would like tournaments like this to really extend that V-Buck margin, maybe right down to like top 100th. I mean, I really want a tournament that rewards the average player or a decent player in competitive, because I know what you're thinking, it's competitive, you should reward the top. Fully agree, but that's what FNCS and that's what especially Cash Cups were before. I want to see more events like this where maybe the prize pool isn't as stacked at the top, but it's spread really thin, so those guys who are grinding out there trying to, you know, place consistently but can't get like top 10 still get something. But either way, it looks like a fun trios event, and this is opening up a huge avenue for more tournaments for V-Bucks potentially in the future. Now, one thing I will warn you, Epic specifically said expect worse server performance when playing this tournament, because the entire reason of this tournament and the reason it's running is so they can test the servers. This would usually actually be done by testing them on elite scrims. They would get the elite scrims, the NA East pro guys, to run a test event, and they would have an observer sit in and they would test the performance of the servers and see if there was any glitches or issues. It looks like they might still be doing that, and I hope they're still doing that, because that would test stacked lobbies, and maybe this is going to be a good way to test less stacked lobbies. But if the server's a bit laggy, don't panic. That's not what Cash Cups and FNCS are going to be like. That's specifically this tournament. If you guys somehow missed it, today we have the Chipotle Challenger Series. It's a $65,000 duos tournament that I'll be watching on my stream live at twitch.tv/AussieAntics. If you want to swing by and have a look, it'll be starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure whatever time that is in the world for you, but if you follow my Twitch stream, I'll go live when it starts, and it's looking super exciting. We have some really fun names in this one. We have Tim the Tap Man, we have Brooke, we have Aiden coming back to see how he still holds up in competitive Fortnite, but on top of that, we have some really stacked pros as well. This isn't just like a for fun content creator wacky tournament. This will be a stacked duos tournament that also has these names in it, because there was qualifiers. So even though people like Bugha, Stable Ronaldo, Emad got invited, there was also qualifiers that got even more pros into these lobbies. So the games will be really solid. One name you might be realizing that's not on there is actually Clicks. Clicks said on stream that because he got invited, he wasn't able to choose which pro he wanted to play with. He he asked if he could play with Day, and they said that that was too strong, or it was too powerful, or you can't play with a pro that good. So Clix was actually so upset by this. He said on stream that he will not be participating in the Chipotle Challenger Series finals, which was also a little bit weird because Ron was allowed to choose to play with Blake because he said he's a YouTuber. Like, I have to feel a bit bad for Clix in this situation because there was also qualifying rounds. There was, I think, 3 or 4. There was 4 qualifying rounds, and so many pros ended up playing in this and qualifying through with their pro duos. Like, we have Centered playing with Edgy. Like, it doesn't matter if 2 pros play together. This whole tournament is stacked with pros. So I just wanted to cover that in case you're wondering why Clix isn't playing when you're watching it. It looks like he chose to sit this one out, but I do want to cover the drop spot map that I made with a bunch of different tweets that I found and was able to gather to see where people are going. This could change. It's not 100% definitive, but I still think it's interesting to look at and talk about some of the teams and how I think they might go based on their drop spot and based on it being duos. The interesting part about this is I'm actually pretty sure this is going to get played on West servers because it looks like that's what they did last time when it was Chipotle, because a lot of the guys they invite are from the West Coast, being in California. So I'm assuming it's going to be on West Coast. I don't know. I checked all the official rules. I checked everything on the website. I couldn't find anything that said which server it's going to play on. So anything I talk about could flip either way because we have, as you can see, some big pro teams. We have Favs going the center of the map, going Spire. We have Wavy Jacob and Dog going retail. We got Tao Tai and Wheels going Logjam. So we've got some top tier pro NA West teams, but we've also got a lot of East teams. So I don't really know which way it's going to go, but there's some big names. We got Zayt and Saf going their usual sweaty sands. They know that drop. It's going to be really, really scary if they get it uncontested. Don't know if they'll be able to hold on to it uncontested. Ronaldo, as I just said, is playing with Blake and they have Pleasant Park. Obviously, Ronaldo and Blake have been going Pleasant since last FNCS. You might remember that Ronaldo took to Twitter to say that he'll never drop Pleasant again. The drop spot through their FNCS, even uncontested, it's a terrible drop. But Pleasant Park now has a guaranteed upgrade NPC, and in the current format, that is ridiculous. Being able to find a blue makeshift or find a green makeshift, do a single quest, upgrade it to blue, and then craft it to purple is insane. It just reduces that RNG so much more. It's a really, really strong drop. We have Creo and Bucky back together in duos now as well, so they're going to be dropping Craggy, which obviously Bucky has been holding down ridiculously with Macwood and Kanata. Creo, you know, not used to Craggy as much, but still a ridiculous strong drop. Also has that guaranteed upgrade NPC as well. Tabs G playing with Skittles, which is interesting. Obviously, we're used to seeing DGen Age's Skittles going this Orchard drop, but I actually don't think DGen and Age is qualified. I'm not 100% sure. We've got Duke and Bank Teller going Steamy. I mean, Dukes is used to going Steamy when he was playing there with Chap as well. We have Illest and Slacks choosing to actually go for the Orchard kind of split just to the northeast of the Spire as well as Risky Real. So interesting to see them switching up their drop as well. We have Jack and Acorn, the FNCS champs, or 2 of the 3 going Slurpee, which they just won FNCS from there. That is their drop. They're looking insane. Eclipse and Zypher going the Hydro Dam. Even though rockets are now a bit more readily available in the God chest, it is still a very, very strong drop as well. You've got Temple and Jay going Misty Meadows, and I think that's a massive sleeper team, especially if this is going to play out on West, because again, we know how ridiculous Temple and Jay are on West. Ridiculous pros. We have Centered and Commandment going Caddy Corners, which massively underrated drop at the moment. You got Tavern and Symmetrical contesting Elige and Slick at Camp Cod. Now, Camp Cod is by far one of the strongest drops on the map right now in non-Storm Surge lobbies. The upgrade NPC, the crafting NPC, the fish you get, the loot you get, it is ridiculous. We've seen how good Chap's team can do out of there in trios in the scrims, but the problem is Storm Surge. You get next to no Storm Surge down there. You're tucked in at the absolute edge of the map, down a mountain in a crevasse away from everyone. But if you're contested, you win that spawn fight enough, you walk away with the loot and the Storm Surge. If a team can walk out on top of this one consistently, they're going to be looking very, very scary. We have Cease and Tragics contesting Wavy Jacob and Dog over at Retail Row. That's going to depend again very heavily on, is this on West or East? I think honestly that'll probably swing based on the server. I think Wavy Jacob and Dog are maybe the better on spawn fighting team, but we haven't seen them go head-to-head much because that's an East duo versus a West duo. We have Avery and Miro contesting Jamper and Paper over at Dirty Docks. I mean, interesting to see Avery contesting Jamper, who, you know, is a teammate of his in the past, known each other a lot. To be fair, though, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if it's Jamper and Paper or Avery and Miro. I think it's Avery and Miro, who have announced like 3 or 4 different drop spots. This was just the most recent one, so I don't know exactly if they're actually going there or what's going on with that, so we'll have to see. Stretch and Edgy out of Lazy Lake is going to be super, super excited to see. Sorry, I realized earlier I said Scented and Edgy. I meant Scented and Commandment. Stretch is now playing with Edgy, so I think this might be potentially the official splitting up of Scented and Edgy as a duo that we kind of saw coming for a while now. Scented and Edgy last time said they were going to split up as a duo, but they were still going to play trios. It looks like that has still stuck. Stretch and Edgy just played today in the Chipotle Cup. Scented and Commandment played in the Chipotle Cup, so I think that is their official duos now. We have Mega and Dubs also getting contested at the Boney Burbs, but not really too sure much about Juzzo and Walk, so I don't know. If there's any teams there I didn't cover or didn't talk about, again, I'm sorry. I just really wanted to give like a nice overview of this map. Some of this, like I said, could change. Not all the teams are on here. This is just most the high profile ones and the solid teams that I could find that officially announced on Twitter. The other cup I have to talk about that we had yesterday was the Bugha Cup that ended up being a duo zone wars. I talked about this in yesterday's video. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about it. If you guys watched any of my stream or you watched any of the pros streaming it, you know it had some issues. The games didn't really start for until about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes in. The map was broken. When the map ended up working, it was basically a heal-off simulator. These things in creative are sometimes difficult. You got to remember, Twitch is a $1 trillion company. They're owned by Amazon, dealing with Fortnite, Epic Games, a $1 billion company. When you do these tournaments, it's not as simple as saying, hey, let's just run it on FaZe Sway's map. You need to get approval. You need to have all those things going. But I liked the concept. The idea that you had Bugha tokens, which at the end of the tournament, depending on how many you had, was extra prize money. But then if you got knocked out, you could use those to buy your way back into the tournament with the hope to make more. It was a cool concept. I really liked it. Unfortunately, it led to some issues of teams buying back in, which made the tournament go for way longer than what I think it originally expected. It ended up being about 6 hours to get through the 7 rounds. When it got down to the final 2v2, it was AV and High Sky versus Jack and Acorn. It looked so intense. 4 rounds. Everyone thought whoever won more of these rounds was going to win overall, right? AV and High Sky took round 1. Jack and Acorn took round 2. They took round 3, and then round 4 looked intense. You had AV and High Sky 2v1 on high ground versus Acorn. Acorn chopped High Sky out, beat AV. It was 3-1. Jack and Acorn win the tournament, but they didn't. They won the final 2v2 3-1, but because AV and High Sky had more Bugha tokens, they won overall. So it was an interesting tournament. A whole bunch of pros got a lot of money from it, but it could have been ran a little bit better. The only reason why I'm mentioning it is because I know you guys are going to ask about it because I talked so much about it on my stream. There were quite a lot of pros that were a bit upset who really asked that these kind of things be run better. I feel for them. I understand, but also being a commentator, being on the production side of things, being on the organization side of things, I get how this one could have missed a little bit, but I wanted to talk about it at least to cover it. AV and High Sky did win, and despite them going down 3-1 in the final 2v2, I think it really did cement that AV and High Sky both deserve a lot more respect when it comes not just to their mechanics, but also their intelligence as well. They both played phenomenally well, and if you argue they didn't deserve the win because they didn't win the final 2v2, they definitely deserved a top 2, and they played phenomenal, and I don't think enough people, including myself, gave them the credit they deserved coming into it. So major props to them. And then obviously Jack and Acorn literally can't help but win or just like place in everything right now. Literally everything. Solos, duos, trios, FNCS, Zone Wars tournaments, cash cups, like they just place in everything. It's ridiculous at this point. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please chuck a like on it. I'm going to try and be like the update night patch notes. I'll try to go in and find this kind of stuff to really break it down for you so you know exactly what's going on. You're not wandering around trying to figure it out. So if you like this, please let me know in the comment section down below. Share it with your friends if it helped you and you want to help them out as well. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. Again, check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. I'll be going live a few hours after this video goes live, watching the Chipotle Cup, watching some scrims, and probably just playing some arena. So I hope to see you there. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.